Good evening, good day, good morning. It depends when you're watching this, but welcome. This Spotlight on Bensenville. I'm very happy to be here. My name's John Wassinger. I'm on the Park District Board, and I'm very happy and excited to have Jonathan Sebastian with us today. Jonathan, hi.
Hi.
Jonathan is the curator over at Fischer Farm Museum. And he's been with the Park District for quite a while now, and he has his own little history with the Park District. Could you share some of that with us, Jonathan?
I came to the Park District back in May of 2006. Initially started as a volunteer at Fischer Farm. Mm-hmm. I also worked in the nursery over at the Deer Grove Leisure Center.
Okay.
And did some work with the Tiny Tots Sports over there, coaching the youngest age level. And was there for a while until...
what kind of sports?
What kind of sports?
Yeah,
a variety of sports. It started out as t-ball, soccer, and basketball, and more recently football has been added.
Can you let us know a little bit about Fischer Farm and the significance of the farm?
Sure. Fischer Farm is one of the oldest homesteads in DuPage County. In fact, we have the oldest extant structure in the county located on the property. The Bensenville Park District currently leases 5 acres of that homestead from the Forest Preserve District, and we have 9 historic structures on that property, all associated with that one family. Mm-hmm. And you can sort of see the evolution and the progression of that farm over time from the mid-1830s until the 1930s.
Excellent. Now, I know that you had developed for the board at one point in time pretty much kind of a white paper on the development, not only the historical significance, but also the Park District's involvement in some of the things that they've done, mm-hmm. which was quite thorough, and you did a great job with that. However, my name wasn't in there enough. I think that's the only criticism I had at the time. But if someone wanted to get that, could you email it to them? Could you give them an electronic copy or something?
Well, right now we prefer that they come in and purchase a copy.
Oh, really?
At the farm, and provide a little revenue source there to the farm, make a donation to the farm. Copies are available at the farm if you're referring to the administrative history.
Okay.
At Fischer Farm, yes.
Yeah.
So we do have those available.
See,
at the
I
farm.
didn't know that it was a profit center, but I laud you for that. But in fact, you'd probably get more. You would have been able to charge more if my name was in there more often, or even once, perhaps. But that being said, what kind of things I know that you say that we have these historic buildings. I know it costs a lot of money to restore them. And I think we're pretty much almost have everything restored over there, correct?
Yeah, this past spring, we completed the restorative phase of the work at the farm largely. It began in 2002 with the restoration of the log house. Mm-hmm. And then this previous spring, we had the oldest barn on the property restored, and we had the brooding house reconstructed. We also had runs put onto the chicken coop and the brooding house. So largely that work is completed now.
And you had chickens out there this year, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We got the chickens at the beginning of August, and they were there until the end of November. We had 8 hens and 2 roosters.
When you say at the end of November, it didn't coincide with Thanksgiving or anything, did it?
No, it did not. Don't worry about that.
Okay. So they went back somewhere safely.
Yeah, they were rented, actually, from an animal rescue facility that generates revenue by renting out farm animals. And then they conduct rescues of all types of animals in northern Illinois. Are
you looking at getting other species or different animals out there in the future?
We are. We have bees at the farm. We've had them for a couple years now. We had the chickens. We'll be bringing back the chickens, but this time we won't be renting them. We're going to take the chicks after they've hatched for the Tiny Tot preschool.
Excellent.
Every year
That's
the
great.
Preschool does a program where they secure the eggs, and they have an incubator, and the kids get to see the process there with the hatching.
Like
and
the Museum of Science and Industry.
Yeah, exactly. Right here in Bensenville, and we're going to then transition those chicks over to the farm and start raising our own hens that way.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's great.
We're also looking at the possibility of bringing in 1 or 2 sheep to the farm this summer as well.
Is that something you'd like to have as a sheep over at the farm?
That's something I would like to have.
Okay. And you could do shearing and demonstrations and things like that at the end of the season?
Correct.
That's cool.
Yes.
Very cool. So those are kind of things that have been doing since let's say the completion of the the structures themselves. And so now I'm sure you're looking at creating more and more activities. What are some of the things that we can look forward to this year?
Well, we've got a slate of 8 programs and events that we'll be bringing back already. So we've got the quilt show coming up in just a couple months. It'll be our 8th annual quilt show, actually. It's been going on. We're going to have the Civil War reenactment in June. We'll have the art fair. We'll have Heritage Day, of course, back, and Farmside Christmas. We're going to introduce a new program, actually a Laura Ingalls Wilder themed program later this spring.
Ah, like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we have all these events, these different things happening. And then are you also, I know that there's been a great outreach to the community as a whole and even extending beyond the community with Mary Wagner as far as volunteerism goes. Are you looking for volunteers at the farm?
Yes, always looking for volunteers. We had 2 volunteer days this past year. One in the spring, which helped us get the brooding house painted.
Okay.
Then I had the 5th graders from Johnson School come out, and they did some ecological restoration work on the property along the edges there of Fisher Woods.
Okay.
And so we are looking to continue that and expand that in the future, the ecological restoration work, as well as start putting in a garden at the property, as well as raising some crops there on the farm again as well. So we're looking for volunteers for that type of work and for other projects that'll be necessary, including building some fences for the animals and making some preparations for that. So we're always looking for volunteers.
Excellent. Now, if someone wants to get involved with that, I know that it's kind of Mary's charge to do that broad-based throughout the agency. However, specifically, can they contact either her or yourself?
Yes, they can contact Mary directly. There was a volunteer survey in place that people could fill out and mark down things in which they were interested, and then it would be forwarded to the appropriate recreation supervisor, depending on what was put down. But certainly one can contact Mary Wagner, but you can also contact me directly at the farm if there's a project that seems to be of interest to you. You can contact me, either call me there or email me. Okay,
great. Now, I was actually on board when we secured Fischer Farm as a tenant with the Forest Preserve at the time. And I myself like to think that I looked and delved into some of the history, you know, that they came to the south end of Dunkley's Grove, with Hezekiah Dunkley being the original. And you and I, we've gone back and forth a few times on, let's say, historical accuracy. And I'm not going to take you to task on any of these things because I know you're a young man, you have a great passion for history, which unfortunately isn't shared with enough. And I know you have a tendency to make a lot of these things up as you go along. But when people come over to the farm, what kind of thing can they experience within the farmhouse that articulates other things, the history of not only the Fischers, but the region, life as it was, as a whole? What type of things do you have there?
Yeah, I mean, in the 1920s farmhouse, we have it pretty well furnished. So one can come through and see in there, that's sort of where we're creating the museum. And you can get a glimpse of what life was like in the 1920s, 1930s in northern Illinois. I mean, we try to consider the site as the tangible link to the agricultural past of northern Illinois.
Okay.
That is largely obliterated by the metropolitan development of the Chicago area. And we are one of those tangible links to that earlier history. And we got a lot of artifacts in the house, as well as in the log house, the barns. There's just a fairly large collection on the property there.
When you say obliterate, it sounds like you have a personal disdain for the development of the area and possibly for society as a whole. Is that the case?
That may have come out a bit
a little strong
with that word.
Okay, I'll accept that. If you will, we're going to go away for just a second here. There's a message that the Village of Bensenville would like to bring to your attention. We'll be right back.
Operated by the Bensenville Park District, Fischer Farm is a historical museum and local treasure just minutes from Chicago in Bensenville, Illinois. Folks come from miles around to celebrate fall and connect with history at the farm's biggest event, Heritage Day. Families, history buffs, and nature lovers enjoy many other fun and educational events throughout the year, including Civil War days, artists and authors, and even a Down on the Farm holiday event. The 5 acres of land at Fischer Farm contains 9 structures that were originally owned by the Fischer family. The land just north of the farm is untouched and valued for its original seed beds. This unchanged landscape is what settlers looked upon when they arrived. Fisher Woods is a rare forest preserve with the remnants of prairie, wetland, and woodland ecosystems. For event listing and tour hours, visit the Fisher Farm pages on the Bensenville Park District website or call 630-834-3152.
The Water's Edge Aquatic Center is conveniently located in the Redmond Recreational Complex in Bensenville. The Water's Edge is home of Fenton High School and Wahoo swim teams, featuring an indoor 8-lane lap pool and diving well. The Aquatic Center is available for private functions and parties. Learn to swim, stay in shape, or enjoy recreational swimming year-round at the Water's Edge Aquatic Center.
The Bensenville Community Library, serving a community of readers. Whether you're old or young, a lover of words, music, or computers, the library has something for you. Check out our new Kindles, toddler jams, story and movie nights, or a variety of other activities offered. For more information, call us at 630-766-4642 or check out our schedule on the web at benlib.org. The Bensenville Community Library, celebrating 50 years of library service. Staying connected is important, and at the Village of Bensenville, it has never been easier to keep up to date with what's happening in our community. On your phone, PDA, PC, laptop, or tablet, the Village of Bensenville website offers easy integration, so you'll stay connected at home, in the office, or on the road. To follow us on Facebook, simply go to the Bensenville homepage and click on the Facebook icon in the lower left-hand corner. This will take you to the Bensenville Facebook fan page. Once there, click the like button to add us to your newsfeed and receive regular updates from around town. To follow us on Twitter, simply go to the Bensenville homepage and click on the Twitter icon in the lower left-hand corner. This will take you to the Bensenville Twitter page. Once there, click the follow button to add us to your Twitter feed and receive regular community updates. To receive email and cell phone notifications, click on the Notify Me button. This will take you to the Notify Me dashboard. Once there, simply add your email address and/or cell phone number at the top of the page, and then select which service you would like to receive updates from. The most common update section is in the Newsflash Bensenville News. Click on the envelope icon for email alerts and on the phone icon for phone alerts. You can choose one, the other, or both. To watch our public access cable show or board meetings, simply click on the Bensenville Web TV button on the lower left sidebar menu of the homepage. This will take you to our streaming center, where you can play current and past Bensenville cable TV shows and board meetings. To pay your Bensenville utility bill online, just click the Online Payments button and then follow the instructions provided on our secure payment site. If you have any problem, concern, or question to tell the village, then click on the Bensenville Action Hotline button. This will take you to the Action Line dashboard, where you can explain your issue and receive a response within 48 hours once you have clicked the Submit button at the bottom of the page. Staying connected is important. And at the Village of Bensenville, it has never been easier to keep up to date with what's happening in our community. On your phone, PDA, PC, laptop, or tablet, the Village of Bensenville website offers easy integration, so you'll stay connected wherever you are.
Hi, we're back again. I'm with Jonathan Sebastian, who's the curator over at the Fischer Farm. And, Jonathan, we talked about the restoration of the buildings, which has taken quite some time to do because it's a very expensive venture to do. We've also spoken about the 1920s house, which has kind of more or less become the museum piece, if you will, and some of the artifacts that are there. I do believe that we have some footage. And so maybe we can go take a look at that, and maybe take particular attention to some of the construction pieces. You'll notice that, the newel posts, and there's no iron in a lot of these structures, and just some of the beautiful restoration that's been done to the buildings, including the 20s house, which everybody loves, but maybe even more interesting, some of the other structures that are there. So as we look at these things, what would have been unique in construction from the viewpoint of what's there? And when I say that, I mean some of the structure types. For instance, the one room house that's left. It was my understanding that it was braced frame construction, which wouldn't necessarily have been a Germanic way to build. So they probably had someone else fabricate it for them. Is that a fact?
No, that was originally constructed by the family themselves when they first arrived here. Yeah.
Where would they have milled the lumber for that to get the planks as wide as they are? What waterway? Where would they have brought something like that in?
Well, a lot of the wood that's used in those three 19th century structures that we have there are just old growth, especially the old growth oak from what you referred to as Dunkley's Grove there, now called Fisher Woods.
Right.
That land was largely untouched. The Fishers were some of the first settlers into this immediate area.
Okay.
So they were striking on some virgin timber in there and able to cut down some very large trees from the woods there. But you'll notice if you look closely, and I try to point this out when I'm giving a tour, especially in the barns, the 19th century barns, you can notice some of the irregularities. You can notice that the planks are cut to different sizes and they're rough cut. And when you stand in the log house, I try to draw attention to some of those cross beams, which are, you can tell, those are almost straight off the tree. I mean, the family member would have straddled it and attempted to cut away with an axe to square it off. And you can see the irregularity in the shape of that. And that's present in all three of those structures.
Interesting point. You bring up Dunkley's Grove again, which I think at the time, or the 1832 surveyor notes, described it as an oak woodland which was navigable by wagon. So the invasives that we have, the buckthorn and things like that, weren't there. However, you had spoken of some of the restoration projects that are going on and possible engagement of volunteers to do that. I think it's important to point out that site, as people do look north, it is pretty much, except for the invasives, which we're trying to get rid of, exactly what the Fishers would have seen when they came to this area. Is that not correct?
That's true. That's true. The Fishers did not cultivate north of the structures.
Okay.
So those seed beds have not been turned. So
They're all
like you
antique.
say, other than the invasives that have grown up more recently, you have stretches of the oak woodland that remain in there, that oak woodland savanna, and also some of the wetland that was in there originally.
I got to tell you, Jonathan, I've always been very pleased to know that the farm itself is in great, great hands with someone that is truly passionate about what they do. And, if the folks out there, if you have the ability to come out to the farm and be able to speak to Jonathan, I mean, he's just a wealth of information, and is very excited about what's there, because there are a lot of exciting things there, and a lot of it is just becoming aware of it to begin with. So if people wanted to come out and engage with you, Jonathan, even if it's not at one of these special events, but during the week or on a weekend, how would they go about doing that? What are your hours there? When are you there?
Well, I'm at the farm Wednesday through Saturday, right now, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we're looking to expand those hours. But you can always check the website, check the Facebook page. The most current hours are always listed in there, on there, and you can find that out. But I'm more than happy to take people through and provide the guided tour and share the information that I've learned, because it's been a learning process over these last several years.
Yeah, and again, it's rare when you get someone that's as passionate as you are about doing. I mean, starting as a volunteer, you know the passion is there, and for us to be able to secure you at that site with employment, to be able to basically extol your knowledge to the people and your passion, I mean, we're in gratitude to you. You're a great person to have around.
Thank you. I think it's a great fit and a great partnership.
Okay. So, for all you out there, if you can, get out and see Jonathan, go out and see the facility, learn about the local history. One of the other things that we're thinking of doing is some narrative histories. So if you know of someone, or you yourself have been in Bensenville for a long time or in the region and have some things like you'd like to convey back to people for the future and have on tape, we're really excited about the availability of Jonathan being able to interview and have those exchanges with people too, and kind of work up that local profile of verbal history, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. We've done a few of those. We've recorded about 10 oral histories so far. The majority of those being related to the administrative history of Fischer Farm that I was working on, but looking to broaden that collection and develop a nice little oral history collection there at the site. In fact, I've already had someone who was doing research come by to Fischer Farm and take advantage of some of the resources that I have in there that previously had been unaware of.
Again, thank you so much, Jonathan.
No, thank you.
It's a great pleasure. See you, folks.